Genesis 31. And he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob hath taken away that was our father's, and that which was our father's hath gotten all his glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not towards him as before. And the Lord said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of thy father, and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, and said unto them, I see your father's continuance, that is not toward me as before, but the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father, and your father hath deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled shall be thy wages, then the cattle bared speckled. And if he said thus, the ringstreak shall be thy hire, then bear thy cattle ringstreak. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me. And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up mine eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leapt upon the cattle were the ringstreak and speckled and grizzled, And the angels of God spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob. I say, Here I am. And he said, Lift up now thine eyes and see all the rams which leap upon the cattle, and the ringstreak and speckled and grizzled, for I have seen that Laban doeth unto thee, and I am God of Bethel, where thou anointed the pillar, and where thou vowed a vow unto me. Now arise, get thee from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us, and hath quite devoured also our money. For all the riches which God hath taken from our father, that is ours and our children's. Now then, whatsoever God hath unto thee do. Then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten. The cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Pandaram, for to go to Isaac and his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. And Jacob stole away unaware to Laban the Syrian, in that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river and set his face towards the Mount Gilead. And it was told Laban on the 3rd day that Jacob was fled. He took his brethren with him and pursued after him 7 days' journey, and then they overtook him in Mount Gilead. And God came to him, Take the steed, that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched the mountain of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done, that thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captive, taken with the sword? Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly, and steal away from me? And didst thou tell me that I might have sent thee away with mirth, and with song, with tabreth, with harp? And hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and daughters? Thou hast not done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the God of your father spake to me yesternight, saying, Take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now though thou wouldst need be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, because I was afraid, for I said, peradventure thou wouldst take by force thy daughters from me, with whom thou findest thy God, let them not live. Before our brethren discern thou what is thine with me, and take it therefore thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. Laban went into Jacob's tent, and led into Leah's tent, and into the two maidservants' tents, but he found them not. Then he went out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them into the camel's furniture and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found not. He said to her father, let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of woman is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. And Jacob was wroth, and showed with Laban. Jacob answered and said to Laban, what is my trespass? What is my sin, that thou hast so hotly pursued me? Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all thy household stuff? Set it there before thee, my brethren, and thy brethren, that they may judge betwixt us. This 20 years I have been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young, and thy rams, thy flock have not eaten. That which was torn of beasts I brought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it. Of my hand didst thou require, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was in the day, drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and sleep by departed from mine eyes. Thus I have been 20 years in thy house, and I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely thou hast sent me away now empty. God hath seen mine affliction and the labor of my hand, and rebuked me yesternight. And Laban answered, said unto Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what I can do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne. Now therefore cometh thou, let us make a covenant, and thou, let it be for a witness between me and thee. And Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar, and Jacob said unto his brethren, gather stones. And they took it stones and made a heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jegar-Sedutha, but Jacob called it Gilead. And Laban said, this heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore was the name of it called Gilead and Mizpah. For he said, the Lord watches between me and thee when we were absent one from another. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, if thou shalt taketh other wives besides my daughters, no man is with thee. See, God is witness betwixt me and thee. And Laban said to Jacob, behold this heap, behold this pillar, in which I have cast betwixt me and thee. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to thee, and that shall not pass over this heap and the pillar unto me for harm. The God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge betwixt us. And Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mound, and called his brethren to eat the bread. And they did eat bread, and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Laban rose up and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. And Laban departed and returned unto his place. Genesis 31 marks the definitive end of Jacob's 20-year era of exile and exploitation in Mesopotamia. Following the livestock genetics warfare of chapter 30, the atmosphere in Haran turns toxic. Jacob notices Laban's sons are grumbling, accusing him of stealing their father's wealth. Jacob notices that Laban's sons are grumbling, accusing him of stealing their father's wealth. Laban's attitude towards him has noticeably soured. With these tensions boiling over, God shatters his silence and commands Jacob to pack up and return to the promised land. What follows is a high-stakes midnight escape, a cinematic high-speed pursuit, and final tense legal settlement that permanently divides the border between two families. Before making the move, Jacob calls a secret meeting between his primary wives, Rachel and Leah, out in the open fields where no one can eavesdrop. Jacob lays out his case, explaining that despite Laban's ruthless changing his wages 10 times over the years, God supernaturally protected him and redirected Laban's wealth into Jacob's hands. Rachel and Leah are completely unified with their husband. They harbor intense resentment towards their father, declaring in verse 14 and 15, "Is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us, and hath quite devoured our money." Laban had threatened his own daughters like disposable commodities. They give Jacob the green light to flee. Jacob waits until Laban goes into the countryside for an annual sheep herding festival, a massive distraction that took many days. Jacob multiplies his entire estate. He loads his wives and his children onto camels and gathers his massive herds of livestock and crosses the Euphrates River, heading south towards the mountains of Gilead. Before they can clear camp, Rachel slips into her father's tent and steals his teraphim, household idol. Why steal these idols? In ancient Near East, documented by the Nubi's tablets, possession of the family teraphim carried a massive legal weight. The person holding the household gods possessed the primary title and deed to the patriarch's estate and inheritance. Rachel was executing a sneaky piece of corporate theft, ensuring that she took her legal share of her father's legacy. It takes 3 full days for the word to reach Laban that Jacob had fled. Furious at the sudden loss of his labor force and his household goods, Laban assembles a heavily armored militia of his kinsmen and launches a furious 7-day pursuit. He tracks down Jacob, cornering the caravan in the mountains of Gilead. Laban is fully prepared to execute a violent, bloody massacre, but the night before he closes in, God violently hijacks the plot. He appears to Laban in a dream, issuing a terrifying, legalistic warning. "Take heed that thou speak not of Jacob either good or bad," meaning do not try to force him back or harm him, or you will answer to me. When they meet the next morning, a highly tense verbal shouting match explodes. Laban tries to play the victim, demanding to know why Jacob fled like a captive and didn't let him kiss his daughters goodbye. Then he drops the real hammer, and "Now, wherefore hast thou stolen my gods?" Jacob, completely unaware that Rachel had stolen the idols, issues a confident, high-stakes decree, with whomsoever thou finds thy God, let him not live. Laban conducts a systematic tent-by-tent search of every of the entire encampment. He tears through Jacob's tent, Leah's tent, and the handmaid's tent and finds nothing. Finally, he steps into Rachel's tent. Rachel executes a brilliant piece of deceptive camouflage. She takes the idols, stuffs them inside a large camel saddlebag, sits directly on top of them, and politely tells her father, "Let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of women is upon me." By invoking her menstrual cycle, let it not be displeased, my lord, that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of woman is upon me. By invoking her menstrual cycle, she relies on ancient purity laws that made her and everything she sat on ritually untouchable. Laban, unwilling to search her saddle, walks away empty-handed. With Laban's search of total failure, Jacob undergoes a fierce transformation. The quiet homebody of chapter 5 is gone. Jacob unleashes 20 years of pent-up rage, screaming at Laban in soaring defense of his integrity. This 20 years I have been with thee, the rams of thy flock have not eaten that which was torn, the beast I brought not unto thee, I bear the loss of it. In the day of the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and the sleep departed from mine eyes, except thy God of father had been with me. Surely thou hast seen my way now empty. Laban, completely outmatched by Jacob's rage, and handcuffed by God's green warning, backs down, professes a formal non-aggression peace treaty. They give the monument two names based on their different languages. Laban calls it Yeager Sedutha, which is Arabic, and Jacob calls it Gilead Hebrew, both meaning the heap of witness. It also given the famous name Mitzvah, watchtower, with Laban issuing a chilling parting warning, "The Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent from one another. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives, God is witness betwixt me and thee." They swear a solemn oath that neither family will ever cross the specific heap of stones to do no harm to the other. Laban wakes up early morning, kisses his daughters and grandchildren goodbye, and turns back north to Mesopotamia forever. With the treaty of Laban permanently removed at his back and his back secured, Jacob turns around to face the front lines, but his relief is short-lived. To march back to the promised land, he must cross now the territory of his brother Esau and the man who swore to murder him 20 years ago, setting the stage for a terrifying supernatural showdown at the river of Jabbok.